the companies I used to work for turned over staff like they were, going out of fashion. So one thing I said to myself was when I started the business was not to do that. And the reason why I said that was because it delves down to respect. If you're a first year apprentice, if you're a 35-year apprentice in my company, you're not treated any differently than what I am. I treat myself the same way as what I treat my tradies and what I treat my apprentices. We're all in it for the same reason, and we're all here to learn. As a business owner, you will be learning for the rest of your life. As a tradesman, you're not a tradesman. You won't be learning until you get your certification, and then you're in the real world. You've got to make decisions yourself. As an apprentice, you've got to do the same. You can be a first year or fourth year, you're still learning on that same wavelength as what we all are. So every time we have a toolbox with the boys, the first thing I say is, how is everyone feeling? How are we feeling? Be honest. How was your week? How's your family life at the moment? Because to me, that's more important than just asking about what happened in the business.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems, and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I'm super excited. I've got an amazing man. His name's Sparky Mick. I'm really looking forward to sharing Mick's journey with you. We're going to be talking about all things motivational because I've gotten to know Mick a little bit around how his attitude is, and he's just one of these people who is able to press buttons so much and so fast. He's an inspiration. He just constantly gets something and he goes, right, I'm going to do this, and this. And I'd love to talk to you, Mick, about what it is that you do. Welcome to Uncovered, by the way.
Thanks, mate. Privileged to be on here, mate. It's a lot following your journey. It's really good. Thanks for that introduction too.
No worries. So, Mick, where have you come from? Like your past? Tell us about who you are, what you're about, and what you do for a living.
So my general background is I run an electrical contracting business in Brisbane, in north side of Brisbane. We do solar and air conditioning and electrical. And my journey from previously before that was I actually immigrated from England in 2007, I think it was. But before that, I was actually born in South Africa, so I'm a bit of a bitch, people like to call me. So so family background, born in South Africa, did my junior schooling in South Africa. I moved to England when I was 10, and then when I was 22, I moved to Australia, immigrated with my parents, and the rest is history. Yeah, so here I am, and battling away and loving Australian life. It's awesome.
That's fantastic. And now, tell us about what got you into doing what you do now. Like, what made you decide to get into Did you work for your own business? Did you work for someone else? Like, what started you off?
Mate, I actually didn't intend on being an electrician or running my own business when I was younger. I had no intention of that. I was just your typical young teenager when I was at school, hanging around with your friends, playing football and doing all that sort of stuff. And the opportunity came along when my dad, who's actually an electrician by trade, when he came here with my mum and my sister, he actually offered me to come over on holidays, and then I ended up getting a sponsorship to stay in the country because I was originally going to stay in England with my girlfriend, but I actually got offered a ticket to stay here. The company he was working for offered me an apprenticeship by sponsorship as well, and did my time. During that time, never really wanted to go out on my own either and work for myself, but the sort of journey took me to that. And yeah, here I am now. So yeah, running quite a small business, but we're starting to get there now, making progress. So it's really good.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, where you don't really have this sort of plan in place and you get sort of thrown into something, isn't it? Like
it's amazing. Yeah.
So a lot of people have hopes and dreams, listeners, and quite often we have a person like Mick who's was never really built to be a person who is here to build something of his own. So when you started to create your own business, what was it like? Were you nervous? Like what was it when you started tinkering away at building something yourself?
Mate, I think I was the typical tradesman that just had that impression of, you look at every other business out there, entrepreneur, and you look at what they've got, the financial, the wealth, the houses, the property development. And I looked into that and I went, oh, that can't be that hard. And I jumped straight in and uneducatedly made the decision to start my own business, not knowing about, I did very little research, ended up, the taxes and the business insurances and the vehicles and the expenses and the overheads really hit me hard in the first year. So I went in very, very deep in the deep end, jumped myself in and had to battle my way back up. So the fortunate thing was that I had a lot of peers around me, and I started to make contacts with like-minded, actually professionally minded business owners that have done the same journey. So we're part of the Master Electricians Group, which is a great company to be involved in. They've got a lot of mentorship, a lot of good business owners in there as well. That there's no egos involved. They're there to help you because they've been in the same position. So I pretty much started subbing myself out to companies, my old employer actually, and then got the networking of getting your own customer base, touching base, sending flyers out and all that. And then word of mouth slowly got out, and yes, I managed to get my way out and start myself as a contractor, as a sole trader. And then after that, I did a bit of research, and we actually went in as a trust under a company set up. Again, through experience and talking to people, they said you're better off going through as a company rather than as a sole trader, just for security purposes. And just once I got to that point, I actually did a lot of investigation, a lot of research, and because I did the hard yards, I started. I joined a couple of academy groups, networking groups, with people that are in the same boat as what I was, and yeah, it's easy to go through the journey with other people rather than just trying to do it all yourself. So I found it was a lot easier that way.
Yeah, and Mick, I think this is really important for people to understand. Like I probably made the biggest mistake. I did the opposite to you, and I just did stuff myself, and I didn't really have any real help. I had a therapist. I worked for a bunch of people, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And getting help, after a short period of time, because it took me ages before I actually really sought help. So it was 18 years in business before I actually decided, hey, I might go and get some help here. And and for you, it sounds like you started getting help very, very early in the piece. So tell us about what that's like. Having someone give you that advice and that guidance to get you moving in the right direction.
I think that the thing that hit me really hard was when you get through that point where I've got 4 young kids, I've got a wife, and that alone is hard enough running a business in itself. And I'm sure there's many other business owners out there like that. But when you're trying to juggle a business that you haven't done enough research into to try and build a foundation for, as well as running a family with 4 kids and trying to, be the breadwinner for them. The whole idea for me to run the business was to have financial freedom, have that time and availability to be with them, especially when they're young. And because I started it at such a short age, when they're at a young age, and I'm a bit older than what a lot of business owners may have started as, I found it difficult. The work-life balance, basically, everyone knows what the work-life balance is, and my work-life balance was non-existent. I'm a workaholic. I love to just delve in and just be there, help people. That's the kind of person I am. But when you see those moments in your life when your kids are suffering, your mum, your wife's suffering because you're never present. You're always on the laptop. You're always on the phone. Kids are asking you to do stuff, and you basically tell them you don't have the time, and you prioritize the business. To me, I was prioritizing the business as more of an importance than my wife and kids.
Yeah.
That hit me pretty hard, especially when you're non-profitable within your business. So what's the point? You're sacrificing all this for a non-profitable business. I then made a few phone calls, networked with a lot of people, and joined a couple of business coaching groups. For me, that was the biggest change ever that I made, because I was involving myself around professionals who've been in that same situation, have the expertise, have the networking available for you to talk and be open about, open-minded about how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and why you're feeling like that. So that was the best thing I did. And from then on, I changed as a person as well, because I'm a Christian now. I actually jumped in and reached out, and I'm actually a Christian now. And I'm proud to be one. That really helped me too, because I used my faith to sort of help me as well, and it's sort of that guidance to know that when things are down, it's not really that bad. So the business coaching was really good, and then meeting people. I mean, even like yourself through Jackson, meeting people like yourself and Jackson Milan and Sam, and being involved in those sort of coaching groups is really, really helpful, because when times are tough and when you feel like you're not doing so well, you actually look at what you're doing and you actually feel, you give yourself a pat on the back and you realize that you are actually doing quite a good job now, considering the circumstances, what you've been through previously. So.
Yeah, I think this is really, really important, listeners, is that Mick's talking about something really, really important. And a lot of people, because I was a therapist for a really long time, Mick, there's a suburb in Canberra called Red Hill, and this is the big houses, right? And so yeah. I worked very close to that suburb in a place called Deakin, and basically I'd have a lot of kids come in to see me with the mum, and the mum would bring the kids in, and they would talk about how dad was never around. And what I saw was these massive houses, and I experienced these huge houses with a hollow home and a dysfunctional family setting. And so when you come in and you sort of see, a lot of people don't see that. They just have that tunnel vision, and they think, well, my business, my self-esteem, especially for men, business self-esteem revolves around going out to work and bringing the money in. But to what point? And a lot of people don't actually get past that. Their self-esteem is so driven, and they're thinking they're bringing home the bickies, and what they're actually bringing home is actually not worth it at the end of the day. So, Mick, it's really good that you could see, especially having 4 kids, I've got to see them jumping all over you on a call.
Yeah,
very, very
crazy, mate.
And just to see how you interact with them, and the want and desire to do a good job in a lifestyle way, because a lot of businesses can just focus on their biz, can't they? And they get lost in that workaholic idea. And you've got this amazing attitude, and you can get stuff done, but it can come at a cost, can't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. And for all those people out there that do think that their business is be all and end all, it's actually not, because my 5-year-old especially is that switched on. He knows when they share their emotions with you at night time. Sometimes those days there where I'd get home from work and my wife would come to me and say, we've got to sit down, and I knew it was a serious conversation, because we've been married for a while now. We've been together for nearly 15, 16 years. So when your 5-year-old tells your wife that daddy doesn't play with me, or daddy's not around, from a 5-year-old, that's heartbreaking for me, because that alone is enough to go. That enough is for me to. I'm happy to sacrifice my business to give my kids to play with my kids again, because your 5-year-old shouldn't be saying to mum that dad's not around and dad's not playing with me and all that, because that hits you hard. Kids are more, especially at that age, they're smarter than what you think. And their emotions play with you as well, and they have just as many emotions as what the parents do. And when you've got a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, I've also got an 8-month-old as well now.
Yeah.
They build on each other's emotions, you know. So once one kid starts, they all talk to each other, and the kids know when I'm in a good mood, and the kids know when I'm in a bad mood. The reason why I feel like I've changed a lot recently is because I have actually learned to say no. I put my laptop down at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Laptop down, phones go off, they go away, and then my full attention is on the kids. Because when I didn't used to do it, I didn't think anything of it, you know. But now I see a difference in myself. My wife loves me more, my kids love me more, and they see that I'm actually making time for them now. And I learned all this through being in the groups that I'm and the networking groups that I'm in, and the other business owners, you know. So a lot of us, their mindset is just business, make the money, and then you know, build a lifestyle for your kids and your wife later. But it's too late then, because you've already broken that relationship with your kids, you've already broken that relationship with your wife, and you've got to drop your ego and just understand what's most important in life. It's not always your business. It's also, it is important, yes, to make a living, but that multi-million-dollar house isn't as important as your kids and your wife. So.
No, that's correct, and I think this is what I love about you, Mick, because you have a big picture of what you want to do, but you actually have your right order. And I'm the same. Like my family come first, and I don't want to ruin my relationship with my kids. I got a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old, and or a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And you know, it's challenging because you want to do the best thing you can as a dad. And then you've got the father part, which is the father goes out into the workforce. But I want to be daddy. You know, I think this is a really important aspect of being a man in lots of ways in this world. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Just because you're the man doesn't mean you have to have that big ego and that big, you know, you don't have to be that big guy that doesn't show emotion or doesn't. And I've learned that myself over the years. I've burst down in tears so many times in the last few years because I've just given up. You know, I've had enough. And in all honesty, probably less than 2 years ago, I was ready to shut the business down because I'd had enough. You know, I was suffering, my kids were suffering. I gave up on it, and I was ready to shut the business down because I'd had enough. Didn't feel like I was going anywhere, and that hit me really hard. Yeah, so emotionally and physically, it really hit me hard then. And my wife, you know, she wanted me to, but she didn't because she knows what I want, so she's fully supportive. So she's like, you know, if it's that hard, do it. You know, don't do it. These things happen. You know, sometimes you've got to hit the hard yards before you go through that tunnel. So.
Yeah, 100%. Look, and I've gone through the same thing, listeners. Is that one of the things that I see in business is people put the big front on and they show the show, but they don't actually no one really knows how hard it is in business and the meltdowns and the pressures that we all go through because we hide it, right? I don't hide that in our academy. I've melted down in front of our whole academy and let people know that I'm having a hard time or having difficulties, because we're not, especially as men, we're not built to actually show that, especially as a tradie. Right.
Exactly.
You know, tradies are, you know, tough and strong and capable. But I've worked with lots of tradies over the years, and they're not, guys. They're really, really sensitive human beings that have been taught that you have to be bravado, and it's not the truth. It's like meltdowns. I've had so many tradies melt down with me and tell me what's really going on, and this is really important, listeners. That don't read a book. Don't judge a book by its cover. I think 100%. It's really important to understand, especially in the tradie game, that these guys are really, really sensitive, really, really kind and caring and really genuine people. These are the people that I've met anyway. Now, you're going to always have people that are a bit dodgy in any sort of business, but I've met people like Mick, and I always look for a person who is going to be the nice guy first. And I think we're all starting to have enough of the dickheads. Who are just wanting to be out for a buck. And, you know, for you, Mick, being that person who is willing to be on this podcast and say, hey, I almost chucked in my business. It was all too much and everything's was difficult to a point now where, you know, we're constantly in business tweaking things and making things better, right? So there's always going to be meltdowns, listeners. We're going to have them throughout our progress. And that's what happens in the back end of every business that nobody knows about.
Yeah, so true, mate. It's I've got a lot of close friends actually they have been near big macho tradies, and they should that front on they look like these big macho tradies, but they're actually soft at heart, mate. And as you said, mate, there is dickheads out there, and there is people out there that want to generally rip people off. But I run this business we're a family run business. The guys I've employed are really top guys. I really think highly of them, and we're all in it together. I'm building a foundation now where we can be a well-known, popular business in this area that people can see as the trusters, but we're also a valuable company. So we are, you get what you pay for with us, and we run off 100%. We run off a family-run unit. We're all together. We stick together, and customers see us as a good group of guys that we're all family-based. We're all got kids. We're all in it for the same reason, to grow grow on our personalities, but also try and grow as build a generation that can follow us and do the same as what we've done, and maybe look after us when we're all old and all that, and we can we can't fend for ourselves. Hopefully that generation comes through, and I want to delve that onto my kids as well, so my kids can see and look after dad for a change rather than me looking after them and changing their nappies and that. So
yeah, for sure. And let's have a dive into that. Like we're looking at a style of leadership, especially in the tradie game, where we've got this macho image, and you're bringing a form of leadership into your world with your guys to actually create a family type image and approach to what you do. Now, tell me, what does that feel like going in and changing the foundation of, the way that you lead your team and how you do it? What's that been like for you going on that journey to create a different image to your team and how you deliver to your clients?
Well, in a nutshell, mate, I literally built this business through COVID. So when we've had about 183% growth in 2 years. So I was a one-man band when COVID hit. I've now got 4 guys working for me, plus a couple of subbies that help us as well when we're busy. And I've never been busier, especially through winter. But what I initially set out to do was build a foundation of guys that I can rely on, trust, and be there to represent me as well as themselves as people. I don't want to have it. I've worked for multiple companies where they've had high turnover of staff purely because they haven't looked after their staff. And I've been in the same boat. I'm strong enough to stay in a company. Luckily, I was strong enough to stay in a company where I was one of the guys in there that managed to stay around and took a lot of the rubbish, but at the same time respect myself. But it was also an education for me. I know the companies I used to work for turned over staff like they were going out of fashion. So one thing I said to myself was when I started the business was not to do that, and the reason why I said that was because it delves down to respect. If you're a first-year apprentice, if you're a 35-year apprentice in my company, you're not treated any differently than what I am. I treat myself the same way as what I treat my tradies and what I treat my apprentices. We're all in it for the same reason, and we're all here to learn. As a business owner, you will be learning for the rest of your life. As a tradesman, you're not a tradesman. You won't be learning until you get your certification, and then you're in the real world. You've got to make decisions yourself. As an apprentice, you've got to do the same. You can be a first year or fourth year, you're still learning on that same wavelength as what we all are. So every time we have a toolbox with the boys, the first thing I say is, how is everyone feeling? How are we feeling? Be honest. How was your week? How's your family life at the moment? Because to me, that's more important than just asking about what happened in the business. Because without knowing what's happening in the background with the boys, I don't know what. As you said, you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can't see what's happening behind behind their face. So in their head, I need to make sure that they're okay. I've always been like that. I sometimes have to ask myself if I'm okay. And if they see that as a first question that you're asking them every day, they'll respect you as a person as well as a boss. So the good boys tell me all the time, thanks for being a good boss. And there is times when you get those struggles during those days when you're like, come on, boys, just and you've got to try and pick up the slack. But when times are tough, and when we're as busy as we are at the moment, they need a break sometimes, and you've got to ask the question just to make sure they're okay. So Moving forward from that, I always say to the guys, how's life at home? Just this morning, I called my techie. He was supposed to be on site at 7 o'clock, and I said, mate, come in, have a coffee. We'll have to sit down for half an hour and have a chat. I haven't spoken to him for a while. So he felt really good, gone out and refreshed this morning, so I haven't spoken to him for a while. And I think that makes a difference. You're not just treated as a number then. You're actually treated as a valued member of staff. That's just how I feel. I put myself in their shoes sometimes. And I say to myself, how would I feel, if my boss came to me on a Friday and said, how are you feeling on a Monday morning? How are you feeling? Or, if my boss shouted me a coffee on a Monday morning, how do you feel? So I generally put myself in their shoes, again, whether they're an apprentice or a tradie. I put myself in their shoes sometimes, go, how do I think they're feeling? How would I feel if I was working my backside off for the last few weeks and no one's spoken to me? So that's generally how I run this business. And we've got core values for our customers. We all know exactly what is required. We all know exactly what is needed, and we all know what our customer wants from us. So the vehicles that we drive around in represent who we are as a business. So if those vehicles are disgustingly dirty when you open those doors, that to me speaks volumes of what you do as a person and as a tradesman. I hate having one packet of chips as open wrapper. There's an open wrapper in my car, so I delve down to the boys. I don't want coffee cups. I don't want, if you finish your coffee, put it in the bin. I don't mind if you do that sort of stuff. But who you are and what you represent as a company, it's not just the company. It's also yourself. So dress appropriately, speak properly on site, and that you're gonna have. It only takes that one person to ruin your reputation. We value ourselves on Google reviews. So we do that for a reason. And the feedback that I get from Google reviews, I don't want Google reviews for my persona or my business. I want it for the guys, so the guys can see that they're doing a good job. So our Google reviews is that I reckon 80-90% of them have my technicians' names in there and the apprentices' names in there, just so that they can see we're a team unit. It's not just all about me and Sparc Electrical. It's all about the boys and what they're doing for the in the area for the customers. So,
mate, that is music to my ears. Just hearing a business owner, a leader, first come in on a Monday and say, how you feeling? Now, I do this all the time here in our business. And I think what you're doing there is creating an atmosphere where people get to express themselves first. Because at the end of the day, looking after your staff's well-being, mentally, emotionally, is more important to actually get the physical output. And they've done studies with this. When a boss cares, you get 30% better output from your staff, right? And so, listeners, if you're hearing this really, really well, when you're hearing what Mick's talking about, he's the leader that needs to exist on this planet, in my opinion, of today. First port of call is absolute deep care. And like the thing that I love about looking into your eyes, Mick, you are really sensitive, right? Really, really emotional as a person, and really deep emotions, like really deep, right? And I love that in a person, because I can see why you're doing it, because you want to feel, you want your staff to know that they're being seen by you, because you want to be seen by them in the same way. And it creates this beautiful reciprocity within you and your staff, because I see a person who, what I see in people, I'm really good at picking people. You really care so much it hurts in your heart.
Yeah, I do.
That's how deep you care, right? And to experience it's like almost tears-based care that I see in your eyes. And I've been watching, as you've been talking, how important this is to help people. And it's so special to actually see this in you, because for people who get the opportunity to experience someone like Mick as an employer of people, employees are going to get the best deal. It's not just that, it's every single client. You can see so clearly in your eyes how deeply you want to do a good job for your clients, and you will stop at nothing. And then you've got this family man. It's just like you've got, in my opinion, such a well-rounded attitude to life, Mick. And the way that you approach is actually what leadership is all about, in my opinion.
Appreciate that. That's good. That's nice words, man.
Yeah. And so I want to touch on this a little bit about how it is with the guys when you're asking them how they're feeling. Do they melt down? What do they do? What responses do you get from your form of leadership with the way that you want to touch people's hearts as opposed to see how they're handling the tools first?
So we're, as I said before, we're a very family-based business. So one of our main guys has got kids himself. We've got a young tradesman in there, and we're a company that just want to give value to our customers. And when I've been in the industry long enough to know what gets said on site and when it gets said on site. You don't have to be that fly on the wall. I'm not silly. So I say to the guys all the time, I can tell because I know the guys now, and it's not just a business thing; it's a friendship thing as well. You know, so out of work is friendship. You know, we have a bit of banter and all that, but I can tell quite clearly just by the boys' body language, their eyes, how they talk to each other, when something is wrong. It gets to a point where you can sometimes you let them try and work it out themselves, you know, so if they can try and talk to each other to work it out, which I try and do that quite a lot and say, guys, just try and sort it out on site with each other. If it gets desperate, come and see me. Because I think you grow more as a person when you try and involve each other and try and sort it out as a team, rather than keep saying, you know, coming back and forth and back and forth. So I keep saying to the boys, if you can try and sort it out yourself, rather do that. But what we do is we actually we just started doing something through Jackson's coaching procedures as well. As something called a Friday feedback form, which is just a quick jot form that it asks a few questions, how you're feeling and all that. And it, at the end, and I've said to the guys when we set it up, I said I just want honesty. The guys fill it out. The response I got was quite good the last few we've done. So it's a new thing, and it actually expressed a bit of emotion just through that. So that's how I know as well that the guys need to talk, because they say stuff in there, just a quick couple of sentences. But that gives me feedback. It's in black and white. But not just that, but when I need to do a toolbox talk with the guys individually, when I say what's happening, we've actually sat there around the table just before I was going to close the business down, and I said to the guys, and this is where I felt really proud of them because I know they had my back. But just as an example, before I was going to shut the business down only 12 months ago, or just a little bit longer than that, I actually said to the boys, I've had enough. You know, I said, I've had enough. I'm thinking about selling the business and letting someone else take over. I'll still be involved, but I've had enough now. Long story short, they actually all said, F no, we joined this business for you. We're working for you and we're helping you grow this business.
Yeah, wow.
To be quite honest, mate, I actually swallowed my tongue, got goosebumps, and it actually made me quite emotional because it's actually the first time in running a business that I actually feel like I've had 120% support from my guys. Now, these are guys that they could quite easily go and find a job and get more money, or find another job and get better remuneration packages. But that when I employed them for a reason, because I wanted someone that would have my back. And when that happened, that gave me a kick up the backside to go, you know what, I'm trying to quit and they're not quitting on me, you know. So that alone was enough for me to stand up, be counted, and go, right, I'm the leader. I'm going to lead these guys to where they want to be. So from that point on, we keep saying to each other every toolbox talk, we're here to make a difference. We're here to help each other out, and we're here to back each other up, whether it be family, home, business, you know, personal, whatever it is. That's what we're here for. We all know we're here for the same reason. We're here to help each other grow, help the business grow, and make a difference in the area that we're working in as well. And I've said to the guys as well, when I'm okay with them being sick, and I'm okay with them needing time off and all that, but I said it's all about communication, but just don't take the mickey out of it, you know. So the guys are really good at that, and they do communicate with me a lot. And there is a mutual respect between us all when we do need to have time off, if we do need to have, if something happens or your kid's sick or something like that. My previous boss would have been, no, I'm here to run a business. I'm paying you this much. You need to be here. I'm totally not like that. So it's just a mutual respect thing overall, and just knowing that we've got each other's back really helps build this business. And I think that's what I want to bring in for the next guy that comes on board. We want to have a good foundation, a good culture. So when the next guy comes in, he actually feels like he's part of a team, and the guys actually welcoming him in and saying, mate, welcome to the team. You're no different to any of us. Welcome aboard. And that's what I'm trying to introduce as we keep growing, so.
I love that. And I think this is really important, listeners. Like we're looking at a way in which we're leading humanity in lots of ways. It's not necessarily
Correct.
It goes into the human dynamic. And so when you're going through a type of leadership like this, Mick, what is it that you want to do? Like how do you want what's your big vision for your business? What are you here to make happen?
The vision for me is to make a difference in people's lives. So I want to make a difference in my guys' lives. So if they're saving for a house, if they're saving for whatever they want to do, if they've got a dream, I want to help them achieve that dream. By helping them achieve that dream, and if they accomplish that dream, I feel like I've done something for them. We do a lot of charitable stuff as well. So we work with Girl Guides, we work with local charity groups, and we donate our services. We've donated our service to a couple of actually. Sadly, a guy that recently passed away last year. It's a good friend of mine, and he lost his wife. He left his wife and 2 young kids. Now, just before he passed away, we actually donated our services to his. He built a shed to make life better for his wife and his kids that he sadly left behind. She's a beautiful girl, beautiful kids. Now, I know deep down, before he passed away, even he said to me, mate, I really appreciate what you're doing. I said, mate, I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this for anyone but yourself and your family. I just want to see your guys, what you're going through right now is I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy, So putting that into perspective and putting life into perspective. We're not here just to make money. I'm not just a business to make money. Yes, I do want to, but at the same time, I'm here to I want to be making a difference in someone's lives, whether it be donating our services to someone's charity or just, putting our name out there because, we've helped someone out. Or a prime example was when COVID first hit, the toilet rolls, it went ballistic. So I actually got called. It's actually on Facebook or Instagram, one of the posts there, that one of the customers we work for, I actually decided, because there was a big this is a funny story, because there was a big toilet roll shortage, our wholesalers were actually putting on that they were actually doing a joke and said we're selling toilet rolls, and I said, whatever you've got, I will buy them. So I physically took, I think I had about 200 toilet rolls at one stage in my youth that were just sitting there, and it was just to make a difference. So all the elderly, all the disabled, people that couldn't actually get out to the shops because of the pandemic, I actually physically went out myself and donated 4 toilet rolls, or a packet of 4 or 8 toilet rolls, to every customer that we work for, just as a donation, and just to say thank you, mate. The value and the response from that was just, I could not believe it. It actually brought me to tears, with one lady that she actually said, you do not know how important this is and how generous this is of you doing this, mate. I could not believe the response I got. I had some NDIS customers that actually the managers of those groups came to me and said, you do not know how important these are, and what a difference it's making, mate. I couldn't believe the response. I really couldn't. It was literally, these toilet rolls were like gold dust, and I didn't do it for a purpose. I literally just did it for a donation, to say, right, people are running out of toilet rolls. I'm just going to buy these things and I'm just going to give them out wherever I can. So I just gave them out, and the response I got from that was crazy. And that I got a photo with one of the ladies that I work for, and she even said, that what you're doing here is just making a huge difference in people's lives, giving away 8 toilet rolls, it's I couldn't believe it, so just things like that, people recognize the small things, customers recognize the small things that you do for them, and people, generosity is something that I pride myself in. My wife is a generous person, and I'm a generous person, and we just want to be a generous company too. We're not just here to make money. We're here to help the community, help services, and just make a difference. That's what I'm here for. Make a difference in people's lives, and hopefully I'm doing that, and I want to continue to do that, and I want to put that down to my kids as well, and be a role model for them to make a difference in people's lives.
Mick, I love this, and I think this is really important, guys. See, we're looking at a person who has a business as an electrician, but look at the actual conversation that we're having here, listeners. And this is what I love about Uncovered, is bringing out the real truth in where people are at and what they're really wanting to do, and to be the toilet roll hero of your area. I love that story, because it's basically providing a service to what's missing, and people were so desperate around having these toilet rolls in Australia, and superhero Mick comes in with so people can shoot on some toilet paper and have their eyes wiped. I love this, mate, because it's just, that's the sort of person that you are. And I love the fact that you meet people who have a bigger want and a bigger difference to make change in people's lives. And we're talking to a Sparky here, and people don't think Sparkies think this way. And people, you've got to pull your heads in and understand that everyone has a story to tell, and there are people who have amazing journeys to supply. And you never read the book by the cover, because there are people like Mick everywhere, in every occupation, and there are unique people. And I just want to put a call out to all the people who have that uniqueness, who have that want and desire to make a difference in this world. No matter what occupation that you're in, you can do something that makes people feel like they matter, and you're one of those people, Mick. So I really want to thank you for jumping on Uncovered. So listeners, if you like this podcast, I'd love it if you could like and share this, and share this to people that you know. We're going to get all of Mick's details, so you can find out where to get Mick's services up in Queensland. And thank you, Mick, for jumping on Uncovered today. It was such a pleasure and an honour to experience time with you and get to know why you do what you do and how you do it.
Thanks, mate. No, it's been a privilege, mate, and thanks for you've made a little bit of difference in my life as well, mate. That first day when I met you, you looked straight into my eyes and said there's something wrong. So that was a game changer for me too, mate. So I really appreciate it. I look forward to making a difference in future, and also chatting with you down the track, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also, our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't bite, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.